welcome. This is one special date for us. It's a new episode of our podcast. Is Unplugged playlist. It's an Italian podcast, but today we are in English because we have a very special guest. So we have Apaull. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me speak English.
Yeah, I'm trying. I know that my English is not so good, but
No.
I hope
my
you.
Italian's non-existent, so I'm super happy. Thank you for having me.
So we want to speak with you about your next, your second, actually, full-length LP that will be out on February 28th, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So
the album's called Homogeny.
Homogeny, right? So can you tell us what was the begin of this album? Why you did it?
Yeah, no, so I did it. So I've been producing for the last 5 years. I've come into this a bit late. I won't bore you with my backstory, but started producing when I was 55 and just really kind of got into things and got into techno mostly. So the basis of this album and the tracks that, the album's called Homogeny, it's this, we're kind of fed this idea that we're all unique and individual. In some ways we are, but in some ways I think we're all being driven into what I call homogeny, this kind of sameness where, we can be controlled a little bit. So the album is that's notionally what it's about. It's a story. And so some of the tracks on there kind of relate to that. So they talk a little bit about some of the things that happened during the pandemic. And, we have a lot of talk about misinformation and disinformation. So we talk about that. I'm actually an environmental scientist by training, by profession, so I talk a little bit about science in there, and so I've kind of woven all of this together into this sort of homogeny theme. You can see from the cover where I've taken, corporate logos and kind of sort of squished them around and made them look all the same. You see the little maybe space person on there, the little gray man or little gray woman, which is, is that where we're ending up? And again, this is a story. This is not what I necessarily, believe in. I just created this story around where it's my observation on what's happening in the world and my story.
Yeah, in your music, actually, you always try to give us a message, right?
100%. So I mean, people listen to music in different ways, myself included, and that's some people just listen and they dance to it and they whatever. That's totally cool. But there's always a story. I like to put a story in my songs, and I use a lot of vocal samples that I collect from wherever, mostly politicians saying what I consider to be interesting things, which I will play back in context or not in context. Sometimes my own lyrics and a little bit of my own voice shows up in there. But I try to tell a story, and so each track is about something. So listen to it, however you want. If you want to just dance to it, great. I would love it if people did that. But if you want to give it a little deeper listen, you might hear some messages in there. And I don't really care too much if people interpret it in the same way that I interpret it. It's a piece of art, it's like a painting, right? You look at it, you take it.
Yeah, everyone will feel what they are maybe feeling in the main time they are listening to your music. So maybe everyone has different
100%.
feeling, right?
100%. I get some of my ideas and what I think it's about. And then it's like, well, again, it's like listening to somebody else's music or looking at somebody else's painting. I will get something from that has some meaning from my own meaning. And that's what I want that's what I'd like for the listeners.
So in this new LP, you try to invite us to question about freedom and true. What does they mean? So I want to ask you, what true and freedom mean for you?
What do truth and freedom mean for me? So truth, is something I think that something that evolves, right? And truth is based on evidence. And so for me, it's, I consider it my responsibility to do whatever research that I need to do on whatever issue of the day that I'm looking at to gather evidence and come up with, what I consider to be the truth on a particular issue. You may view it differently, and that's fine. Well, that's opinion, right? And whatever we talk about our truth or whatever, but really, having the ability to do that. And I think that's been a little bit stifled. You'll hear, I just remember during COVID, it was like, okay, no, so this is how it is. And if you don't think this way, well, then, that's wrong and you're wrong and it's disinformation. And that's where the freedom part comes in. We don't have the freedom to question truth. You should always question truth all the time because it's not true. And even on an issue, it evolves. Or there's people that believe one thing and they're pushing their idea of the truth, and then there's somebody else pushing their idea of the truth. We should all be able to do that. And then somewhere, maybe in the middle, we actually figure out something that nobody likes that probably actually is the truth. And to me, this album is really largely sort of social observation that we've kind of stopped being able to do that. And, you may believe one thing, I may believe something, and it's become very difficult to even talk to people about that. It's like, oh, you believe this thing. Oh, I can't talk to you because you believe this thing. And it's just like, I don't know, whatever happens to sitting down and having a glass of wine with someone you totally disagree with, and leave the evening with friends and just think, okay, well, I don't agree with what they're saying and vice versa, but it doesn't mean I need to be their enemy, right? And I'm going to think about, if you're thinking about something that's the opposite, I'm going to think about that, right? And maybe you'll think about what I think about. And, we're not totally crazy about it. And I think we can learn from each other, develop that consensus and develop that truth. So this is really about what I see as some of that being taken away from us, or some of that being taken away from us. And really, I just think we need to kind of wake up a little bit to that and try to get back to that ability to gather evidence, to figure out have the freedom to gather evidence, to figure out what the truth is, and also recognize that truth can be dynamic. And all I mean by that is, so it's 2025, and so here's the truth on whatever the issue is. In 2030, a bunch of things may have happened. And that can change, yeah. Right? So, we talked about COVID. At the beginning, it was like, oh, you're going to do this, you got to be vaccinated, which I was, and then that's going to prevent you from getting it, which it didn't. It's going to prevent you from spreading it, which it didn't. And so, at the beginning, I would just say everybody honestly believed that thing, but as the evidence kind of came along, people were still saying, no, that's the way it is, and if you say that that's the way it is, misinformation, la, 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 la. The truth wasn't allowed to evolve.
That's right.
And I just think that's a big mistake.
So there are 3 questions that I make every time to new singers that are coming to my microphone. So are you ready? Did you start?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first one. If you have to write a song for someone else, for who you will write?
That's a great question. Who would I write it for? That's a really.
So
really
I see that it is not different from Italian and American singer. They all have problem answering this question. Why?
No, that's good. It's a very provocative question. So the question I guess I would ask myself to help me answer that question is, who do I write songs for now? And I'll tell you who I write them for. I write them for me. Right? I create art and I write them for myself. I try to present that art and that song to other people and hope that other people like it. It's not like I write it that I don't care. I would like you to like it, or I would like other people to like it. So I write songs for me.
Okay.
That's who I actually write them for.
And if you had to choose one singer that you can sing with, who you would choose?
Yeah, so I don't do a lot of singing, but I do work with other singers. So, for instance, one that I've just recently worked with that's not on this album is Dina from a band called Dina Summer out of Berlin. They do just great indie dance, electronica type stuff. Love their music. So I would love to work with a singer like that. Somebody else that I would love to work with, I forget her name off the top of my head, but there was this German band back in the mid-'80s called Propaganda, and they had a great singer. The band's still going, it's Claudia something or other. I would love to work with someone like that because, for me, working with a singer, because I'm not I'm more of an electronic music producer that sings occasionally, is that the vibe, it's what the vibe that people bring to the music and the mood. And so I guess I like moody singers that add that sort of dramatic kind of moody type singer that adds some angst and anxiety to some of the tracks that I create. I'm not writing florid, beautiful love songs. Nothing wrong with that. I write songs about social things and social things where there's some friction. So I like to hear a little bit of that friction in whoever I'm working with.
And if you have to tell me a place where you want to play and sing, where would you like to play?
I'd like to play in Berlin. I was just in Berlin for the week, meeting with my publicist there, doing promotion. I performed in Amsterdam and London, UK, and a few other places in the last year. But Berlin is sort of home base, I think, for the type of music that I produce. A little bit of ground zero. There's a big European market, and South American market, North American market, but Berlin is kind of the musical home, and I've not had the opportunity to play there. I would love to play there.
So if you will come to Berlin, just tell me, because I'm near to Berlin now. I'm in Krakow, actually, so Krakow is not so far.
I was in Berlin last week.
Yeah?
And enjoying the beautiful January Berlin weather, which is, not that nice. But I had great time there. I went to all the clubs and I did all the stuff and met with people, and it was fantastic. So I would like to go there in the summer when I think things are a lot more pleasant, and I would like to play there because that's, there's a real strong artistic community there. I met artists and bands there, and I just really got on with them really well. And we just had that great sort of vibe, and they were nice, and it was just like I just felt very welcome. And I thought, I need to come back in a hurry.
So we wait you back in Berlin, in Europe, and we thank you. We thanks a lot for this talk because it was very interesting, and we will wait now your new album, and you have a release of a new song this week, right?
I do. The single Truth On, which is the third single from the Homogeny album, coming out on Thursday. It also features the other thing that I've done with this album. With every track, I've worked with a remixer. So in this case, the remixer is Michael Pani, who is from Germany, lives in Bavaria, does techno, and also long drum and bass experience. Other remixers on the album include Reese Fulber from Frontline Assembly, Christian Smith, Niels Landstrom, Andrei Sorokin. So I've worked with a really broad swath of artists that I love, whose music I love, and I'm just so privileged and pleased that they would agree to work with me. I'm super happy about all of that.
So we can just say you good luck for everything now, and thank you to being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. And
see you in Berlin, right?
I beg your pardon? Yeah, see you in Berlin. Totally.
Thank you.
Wait.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.